Hey guys, welcome back to Sports with Mono and Mono. It's the 16th day of July, right, Steve? Midpoint of summer, and my partner is on my right.
Hello. Welcome back, everybody.
You got that lacrosse tan going for you, Steve.
Yes, I most certainly do.
I thought
The
it was
latest,
cool.
greatest. This is from UMass Amherst.
Yeah.
It was nice of me. I took my son up on Wednesday to UMass Amherst, and I haven't been in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, in eons.
Yeah.
But the thing about being a lacrosse dad in the midsummer, there is nowhere to hide.
Yes.
And any lacrosse parent knows there is nowhere to hide.
Well, listen.
I'm not complaining.
Good.
I like my tan look. And of all
Well,
the Monahan brothers, I think I tan the best. So that's debatable, but
well, I'll turn over the mic to Steve for the monologue and the George Hamilton tan.
All right. Well, thank you very much. So the New York Yankees. Again, I give a lot of thought to what I'm going to talk about in my monologue, and I do my let me cross this out. I was going to touch on this, but being that you mentioned a week ago, maybe 2 weeks ago, where the Yankees win 116 games, I thought I was pretty adamant when I said no. We're starting to see some chinks in the armor, if you will, I believe, this past 2 weeks. You lose to the Pittsburgh Pirates, okay. But when the Cincinnati Reds come to town in New York, Yankee Stadium, and they're considered, right, the worst team in baseball. Let's be real. We're starting to. When I say we're starting to see chinks in the armor, Aaron Hicks, took a little while longer than I expected this year, but the tweak here, the tweak there. So we know that song and dance. Luis Severino, who I love to death, but he is fragile as a Hummel China doll or something worth an exorbitant amount of money. Luis Severino, again, here we go, tightness in the shoulder. I talked to my loyal listener Jeremy, and he made a valid point about Luis Severino. He's never seen a pitcher in a long time to throw so many pitches to get an out. But Luis Severino throws a lot of pitches, right? But let's also remember he hasn't pitched in literally 3 years, it seems like, right?
Yeah.
But when he's on, he's on. But we can't count on him, is my point.
Yeah.
We finally saw Clay Holmes, right, who nobody ever heard of before, acquiring him from Pittsburgh, myself included. I can't tell you I knew anything about Clay Holmes. And he's been the most dominant reliever in Major League Baseball. But he had his first meltdown, which I think is all good. I think to lower expectations, we're still 15 games up or 14 or whatever it is heading to the All-Star break. I'm not hitting the panic button. However, I think a lot of Yankee fans feel that this isn't the 98 team where you have Paul O'Neill and Derek Jeter and Tino Martinez and Jorge Posada and Andy Pettitte and Scott Brocious, and you felt good.
Mariano Rivera. Yeah.
I was saving that, but my point is, you knew this Yankee team was special. I still don't see the special on this. DJ LeMahieu, love him. Judge and Stanton have to stay healthy. There's so many ifs and variances in this. And I'm going to finish on this. The Houston Astros, for some reason, have our number. And you know what the some reason is? Just they're pretty damn good. Okay, so the cheating scandal is slowly but surely going in the rearview mirror here. Okay, like any other story. But I don't feel comfortable as a diehard New York Yankee fan to sit here on July 16th and say we're going to win the World Series. Why? Because it's been a decade. No, I just don't. And I'm not even bringing up Joey Gallo. Okay. So that's all I wanted to say. We lost to the Red Sox last night, but it's to be expected, the swoon. It's a marathon, not a sprint.
Yep.
And I just wanted to touch on the Yankees, really, is my monologue.
Well, Steve,
State of the Yankees.
and you and I have talked about this. I mean, the entire lineup is hitting under 270. It's kind of hard to believe that they've even gotten to this point, but you're right. This is not the 98 team. And you're right. I started
This
to
is
see
not the
same thing.
2009 team.
Right. But I'm starting to see you're right. There's, Hicks will, right. He'll go on the disabled list any day now, right? Donaldson's hitting 220, and Rizzo is probably the best 220 hitter in baseball, to be quite honest, because he comes up large all the time.
Yes,
but
he's
it's
been very
still
productive.
220. And DJ LeMahieu, like you said, he had an opportunity the other night to win the game twice, and he struck out. He went 0 for 5. So I think you're right. Is Clay Holmes the best reliever in baseball? Yeah, he has been, but is Clay Holmes going to continue to throw a less than 1 ERA for the rest of the season?
Right. There's no track record. My point about Clay Holmes is there's no track record of 3-4 years of dominance.
That's exactly right. You're right. So, listen, as far as baseball goes, we're past the halfway point. The All-Star break's coming up, and I just wanted to touch on a couple of things. I think it's, the home run derby, right? You got Alonso. And I kind of think this is a joke that Albert Pujols is in the home run derby. He's not going to be able to swing the bat. What do these guys get? Like 60 pitches or something? He's 42 years old. I mean,
it can be taxing on the body.
Oh, God. You can't find somebody.
Why not?
Else?
Listen, at 42, Albert Pujols still looks like a bodybuilder, for Christ's sake.
He's starting.
I get it, but it doesn't hurt for.
He look like Boog Powell in
it doesn't hurt for rating.
I get it.
Increase ratings.
I get it.
But real quick in the New York scene and the Mets, right? So the Mets I would say the Mets did kind of like a couple weeks ago what the Yankees are going through now, right? So the Mets had a stretch of they weren't hitting the ball, this, that, and the other thing, but they took on the Atlanta Braves. And to your point, right, Max Scherzer, right? So when we broadcasted last week and you did your Max Scherzer monologue, what did Max Scherzer do this week? You couldn't pitch basically any better than what Max Scherzer did.
Yep.
So it's a marathon. It's not a sprint. But of the two New York teams, and Buck Showalter's in the captain's chair, I'm leaning towards the Mets. Maybe having a better finish than the New York Yankees.
Yeah, I just don't think they have enough star power in the line.
They will. They will.
We'll see.
No, I think the Mets are gonna make some shrewd moves here at the deadline.
But Steve, I wanted to bring something up to you because you and I, we have talked 1,000 times about teams retiring numbers and so forth. And while you're talking about the Mets, Keith Hernandez, number 17, retired by the Mets. It's kind of a head scratcher to me. Please don't misunderstand my motives here. He was a great ball player, great first baseman, but he played, he really only had 3 very good years with the Mets. And I get it. When you have guys like Gooden, Strawberry, and here's one in particular, David Wright. I mean, from a Mets perspective, he leads them in hits and home runs, not home runs, but hits. And that's a Met that should have his number retired before Keith Hernandez. What is your thought on Keith Hernandez? I know the motives behind why Steve Cohen is doing this. He's trying to bring, people back in, but don't you retire Doc Gooden's number first? I know the off the field thing is a problem, but retiring his number is that ludicrous to you?
Initially, yes, and it took it took several weeks of conversations with multiple Met fans for me to kind of grasp and accept Keith Hernandez being number 17 being retired. Okay, initially, I'm like, what, are you kidding me? And the big problem I have with Keith Hernandez as a New York Met is he really gave up in Game 6. And I've mentioned this before. I was there at Game 6. I was there. And Keith Hernandez was in the dugout having a cigarette, like, I'm going to say this. There will be now a huge run of retired Met numbers.
Yes, there will.
And so that will mean Gooden, Strawberry. David Wright is a lock. There's no question.
Yep.
Tom Seaver's, I think, the only one. And Casey Stengel, I guess, his numbers up there, right? Just for,
Maybe
ceremonial purposes. But the Mets are going to do a run on this, kind of like how they just brought back Old Timers Day, which they should, right? The Mets need to start embracing their history. Now, I had a debate with a Met fan. Gary Carter should, in my opinion, and I was swayed by this Mets fan's argument, that Gary Carter, posthumously or not, his number 8 should probably have been the ceremony for Keith Hernandez. Keith Hernandez, in my opinion, Gooden, Strawberry,
right.
And then Hernandez thrown in, in the middle there, right?
Yeah.
But without that acquisition of Gary Carter, the Mets don't have the run that they have. They don't. Gary Carter, I'm not going to say I didn't like Gary Carter. I didn't really embrace his, the kid, love of the game, which maybe I should have in retrospect. Yeah. But Gary Carter is a Hall of Fame catcher. And it's unfortunate that he passed away too early.
Right. And I just wanted to get your thoughts, because I just thought it was too much too soon, especially when you put it up there against Tom Seaver, who is one of the greatest pitchers of all time, not just the Mets. I mean,
when you throw number 41, pick a team. If Tom Seaver pitched, my point is, if Tom Seaver pitched for any major league team, number 41 would be up on that wall regardless. Yep. I mean, that's a bona fide Hall of Fame.
And maybe one other guy I think we kind of overlooked that probably would be worthy of having his number from a franchise perspective would be Mike Piazza, right? I mean,
of course.
Yeah.
No question. No question. That's a good point. I wouldn't have. I stand corrected. Gary Carter, Hernandez, whatever. But you mentioned David Wright. So to me, David Wright and Mike Piazza, position-wise, right? Those
gone before Hernandez.
Oh, no, without question.
I got you.
And any of our Met fans like to chime in, please. sportswithmano@gmail.com. We'd love to have a debate.
Yes, we would. And I know it's a topic that a lot of people have been talking about, and I wanted to bring it up. And one last note in Major League Baseball: Charlie Montoya fired by the Blue Jays. I guess it's kind of, they do have a lot of talent, but when you look at Charlie Montoya's record, you know what his career record is?
Not good.
236 and 236. Literally 500.
All right, that's better than I anticipated.
But
But the thing about, and I'm going to be honest, I never heard of Charlie Montoya. Are you kidding me?
Oh, I didn't know him either.
All right, I'm telling our audience. The Blue Jays hired Charlie Montoya. Oh, whatever. The problem I had with Toronto 3 weeks ago or something like that, when they were playing the Yankees at Yankee Stadium, Yankees are winning 10-2, and the Blue Jays have this home run jacket or something that they have in the dugout. Or so if you hit a home run, you get to wear the jacket for right? They're losing 10-2. I think it was like a travel day, so it was like a 1:00 Thursday game.
Ugh.
And for 3 minutes, I got to watch a Toronto Blue Jay don this ridiculous thing for what? To make it 10-3 in the 8th inning?
That's a good point.
So if I'm the manager of a Major League Baseball team, the home run jacket is not coming out. The home run jacket can come out when you hit me a
When you're winning.
You hit me a game-winning homer. You hit me a very important.
Yeah.
I understand that. Let's have fun, embrace it, team camaraderie. But again, I never heard of Charlie Montoya, and then when I saw something like that, like good riddance. I mean, but
Right, but my point was this is a very talented team with Guerrero and Springer and those guys. So I mean,
they do. They've invested. Toronto has invested. And again, you know, the Yankees are 14 up. You know, Yankees lost again last night to the Red Sox.
Yeah.
And the Red Sox, slowly but surely, are like 10, 11, 12 games over 500. And we're not even at the, you know, we're basically at the All-Star break, you know, minus a few hours. But who's to say the Red Sox can't go on not a Yankee tear, because what we saw in the first half, but if the Yankees, again, start coming back down to earth, and again,
the Red Sox start winning. They got a lot of talent. This guy Devers is a major league hitter, man.
Yes, he is. But again, if we're Yankee fans and we win the division by 3 games, being up by 15, okay, we still won the division. But I stand by my assessment that Houston's got a number. I don't feel confident that.
Well, I mean, listen, and I think it's pretty safe bet that now you got 3 wild card teams, I think, in the league now. So, you know, they don't have to catch the Yankees to get to the playoffs. And if they get hot, you know, you're right. Yeah.
That's all.
So just real quick, I just thought it was interesting that we're still battling this COVID thing, right? And Riamolto came out and said, hey, you know, I'm not vaccinated and Canada's not going to tell me I'm vaccinated. But it came to a head when the Royals had 10 guys that couldn't make the trip to Canada to play. They basically fielded a AA team in a Major League Baseball game. That's not fair to the fans. So I don't know what the answer is. I respect people's right not to get vaccinated if they choose, but you know, you're putting your team in jeopardy. You know, to lose games that you sometimes you can't afford, and if you lose by 2 games to make the playoffs, you know, then you got to say, hey, what's going on here? I just don't think it's fair to the fans anyway.
No, I agree. But you know, again, you know, unvaccinated, vaccinated, it's up to the individual, I think. Okay, so I'm not really going to delve into that.
Got it. So I just want to briefly mention, because Novak Djokovic won Wimbledon again.
Yeah.
And, you know, so the debate always, you know, after each major Grand Slam that he wins, you know, is he the best of all time? And it's going to be an impossible distinction between Federer, Nadal, and Djokovic. My solution, just say, listen, these are 3 of the greatest players to ever play the game. And we go back to the Borg, McEnroe, and Lendl days. There were 3 guys. And how do you decide who was the best player of that era? But, you know, this guy Djokovic, I'm not a big fan of his, but he tore apart this Nick Kyrgios and his 135-mile-an-hour serve, which is unbelievable. Wow. And he just tore him apart. I mean, you got to give this guy his props for, you know, the duration of his dominance. But Nadal and Federer, I can't put one ahead of the other. I'm going to lump them together. You can't make that distinction, you know?
No, you can't. I was thrilled that Joker beat Kyrgios.
Yeah,
you know?
Too. Yeah.
I don't think that. I think that might have been the easiest prediction, one of them throughout the year that we had. I think
playing in the U.S. Open.
I think it was like Monday or Tuesday or something like that, or it might have been during the Wimbledon final where Roger Federer is no longer ranked.
Yeah, I know.
No longer ranked since the Stone Ages or something, or Attila the Hun's reign type of thing. That's how dominant and great Roger Federer was.
Right. So, next up, I mean, it's kind of unfortunate because I would like to see, certainly want to see Nadal and Djokovic and Federer at the U.S. Open. I just don't know that either one of them, either one of those three are going to be in the U.S. Open, and that's the changing of the guard that we've talked about.
Joker's going to win the U.S. Open.
I don't know if he's playing the U.S. Open.
He'll play.
I don't know.
He'll play.
I don't know. We'll see.
Of the three, I will say he has the highest probability to play. Maybe that's the way to say it.
Well, let's stay across the pond today, Steve, because we had a lot to talk about last week, and we didn't actually make our selections for the Open Championship at the old course at Royals, at St. Andrews. These guys are tearing this golf course up. I mean, this is unusually beautiful weather at the U.S. Open, and these guys are tearing it up.
Yeah.
And my picks would have been, and I had them written down, I just didn't say them. I had Rory, obviously, and I think this is his time to shine. But I liked Fitzpatrick, and one of my sleepers was Tommy Fleetwood, who wasn't really doing well, but he's having a hell of a day today. So he's back in the mix, and there's a lot of guys that could win this championship. And you got to say the biggest surprise, obviously, is Cameron Young, who's been, lights out. He's a Westchester, New York guy, and his father's a club pro and came in third in the PGA. But that would be a great story. But I think the biggest story, and I got to tell you, it's probably obviously going to be the last time we see Tiger Woods at St. Andrews. But, he had a terrible tournament, but it was so memorable to watch him walk up 18, and it literally brought him to tears. And if you're a sports fan, you can't help but remember Arnold Palmer's last walk up St. Andrews, right? And Jack Nicklaus's last walk up St. Andrews.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the end is closing in on him, and this injury is not doing him any favors. But it really was an emotional and well-deserved crowning of this guy as one of the legends of golf.
Yeah, there's no question. And top of my head, I can't concretely say, Jack and Arnold that for the British Open, St. Andrews was their favorite course. But I think it goes without saying that Tiger Woods his love of St. Andrews. So it really was. So I'm at work in his first round. I think he shot a 78. Right. So his second round obviously misses the cuts, which sets the stage for this, all-time memory. And I thought it was great theater. I thought it's well-deserved. Tiger Woods, personal issues aside and all this other stuff, if we're just talking pure golf, he's the greatest golfer I think we've ever seen. Right? I'm not, again, Jack and Arnie are endeared in our hearts, and their resumes speak for themselves. I'm just talking about modern golf with modern equipment, modernness. Tiger Woods, we have to acknowledge the greatness of 15 majors that we've seen. Yep. However, my thought was, this is the last time he's ever walked in St. Andrews in a competitive environment.
Two-time winner there. Yeah.
Right. So as far as who's going to win the tournament, I can't answer that. I don't know.
Well, look, all the usual suspects are there, right? I mean, Scheffler is there, and
Dustin Johnson was in the mix, and I will say this. What did we say? 4 weeks ago, when Dustin Johnson made the commitment to the LIV, and I'm at work, and my buddy Frank said, in passing, I said, well, who's winning? Right? It was like 11 o'clock in the morning or something. He's like, Dustin Johnson's up there. But I can say, honestly, and looking inward, it's the first time, and I'm holding firm on my position. I said, I'm not rooting for him anymore. I'm so disappointed in him, and I don't want him to win. But I felt that emotion. Like, I felt it turn finally. Like, I love
Tonight,
this
he's
guy.
one of the
I
top
love this
players in the
guy
world.
a month ago. He's married to the great one's daughter, right?
Yeah.
But I just want to share with the audience, Dustin Johnson is so disappointed in me. I can't root for him. And
I got you.
it's just
But
my
I'm
own
gonna
opinion.
stick with my original. I mean, like I said, this is a horse race, and it's today's moving day, and they're on the course right now. But I really think Rory McIlroy is so focused on winning this tournament that I think he's not going to let it slip away this time. And listen, we've seen him miss these putts that he shouldn't be missing for over the past few years. Hasn't won a major since 2014, but he is dialed in this time. And like I said, though, it's not a foregone conclusion because they're tearing this golf course up. They are tearing it to pieces
They
because of
are.
the weather. It's
Yeah.
great.
But I mean, again, the British Open for golf lovers. I mean, it's so unique. It's a great venue.
And
Really.
it's such a different game than
Yeah.
when you look at Augusta National and then you look at the British Open. It's like, these guys are putting from the fairway. I mean, but
Yeah.
that's how the game of golf originally came about, and that's
Exactly.
yeah,
There's no
just
doubt.
a different game. Just a different game.
Yep.
So, Steve, I wanted to say our Open Championship was sponsored by Coriano Trucking, which I failed to mention earlier. But I want to talk about. I don't want to talk about the NFL because we'll get there in due time. But there was a lot of movement in the NHL and free agency, and there was a lot of surprises. And I think obviously the biggest surprise was Johnny Gaudreau, right, leaving Calgary, who was a team that's looked like they could contend for a Stanley Cup, to go to Columbus. And
There's no surprise. No.
Well, I'm not sure why though. I mean,
Because Johnny Gaudreau didn't like being in Calgary. Johnny Gaudreau had 115 points in 82 games.
Oh no, my point is the surprise is that he went to Columbus rather than he's a Jersey kid.
Well, listen. The Islanders made every attempt to get him, Lou Lamoriello. All right, make no mistake about it. It got leaked out, and we all know Lou Lamoriello, how he does business. He felt that because it got leaked out, he felt that Calgary could then, have leverage in a trade situation where, he wouldn't match the price. But you would have to give Calgary credit for trying to get what they can for this guy. This guy's a superstar. Johnny Gaudreau grew up a Philadelphia Flyers fan. Johnny Gaudreau wanted to go to the Philadelphia Flyers if the circumstances dictated. Flyers don't have any money as they tear it down. The Flyers are kind of like in year 2 of what the Rangers did 5 years ago. All right, they hired Torts. I'm serious. They don't have the money for Johnny Gaudreau. Now, Columbus is Ohio. It's east. It's not Calgary. Johnny Gaudreau, and they gave him a fortune. So Johnny Gaudreau wanted to come east. Columbus, it's not as far east as maybe as he would like, but it makes sense.
You just made an interesting statement because I was having this conversation with somebody. When you look at all, the 4 major sports and the money that they're making in the NBA and Major League Baseball, NFL, comparatively speaking, the NHL, these guys aren't making, excuse me, anywhere near that kind of money. I mean, they're making, $5 million is a major league salary in the NHL, and I just don't understand.
It's always because it's nowhere near the revenue generator of the 3 others. It's not even close.
I know, but how great was the Stanley Cup playoffs this year? And I mean, the TV contracts, you're getting to watch it. It's just,
right. When I say you're preaching to the choir, you know that. I'm talking for the audience, right?
Yeah.
But to be realistic, you always make the statements about the NBA, which is spot on. Hey, where's his money? You're seeing, Steph Curry, as great as Steph Curry is, 4-year extension, $250 million. So when we talk about Johnny Gaudreau leaving the Calgary Flames and winding up in Columbus, Yeah, it's peanuts. It's not peanuts to the everyday person.
I
Certainly
get it.
not peanuts to me.
I know.
But in comparison of the three other sports and the media and the TV networks and everything, and where all this money is generated, yeah, it falls in. But the thing about the NHL of the four sports, it is the most competitive, heartfelt competition.
No question.
Yes, of all four. So that's to me, that's kind of the trade-off. Like, do I wish they would make it more? Yeah, why not? Yeah, but the again, we've been on record 1,000 times with this. The chase
Yeah.
for Lord Stanley Cup to me, well, it's unrivaled.
It's unbelievable.
It's
But there was some other notable signings, right? Claude Giroux goes to the Senators. Rangers lose Andrew Kopp, who looked like he was fitting in very nicely with New York. That was a little surprising.
No, Andrew Copp wanted to be a Detroit Red Wing. We can't afford him, but I tell you, man, I think Chris Drury hit an absolute home run.
You're right.
At throwback from is a Gallant guy from Florida days.
Yeah.
This guy's a player.
Yeah,
and,
it fills that void,
Outstanding. Ryan Strome goes to Anaheim. Bye-bye. I didn't dislike Ryan Strome. Ryan Strome's a good teammate. Ryan Strome tried to play through his injury at the end of the playoffs, so I give him thumbs up on character and so on and so forth.
Yeah, you too.
But Ryan, take care. Bye-bye. Hated to lose Frank Vetrano, but we just, under the cap, we
Oh, I didn't
afford it.
even see. Vetrano left too?
Yeah, Frankie signed with the Anaheim Ducks too.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah.
Wow.
But the Rangers are just fine.
Yeah,
Trust
they're
me.
doing good. So I guess the only marquee, right, guy that hasn't signed, unless you got breaking news that signed, probably Nazir Kadri from Colorado.
The New Jersey Devils signed.
They did. I didn't know that. Wow.
Oh yeah. And Malkin resigned with Pittsburgh because,
I thought there was a real chance.
As great as Malkin is, I'm not giving you a 3-4 year deal at age 37 or whatever.
I agree, but I thought he would have maybe taken a trip to I thought the Rangers would have been a good landing spot for him, but you're right, not for a 3-4 year commitment for a guy that's been in this league for 15 years.
Yeah, but Kadri's a good signing by the Devils.
Yep. So, Steve, let's move into our random points of interest, of which I got quite a few today. And of course, it's sponsored by Lynch Toyota of Manchester.
Hey, Rob, wait. Rob, look that up. I may be wrong. Like Palat signed with the Devils from
Yes,
Tampa.
he did.
That. Now, Kadri, I thought, where did he
I don't
sign?
think he's signed yet, Steve. I don't think he's signed
Yeah,
yet.
I'm getting,
Anyway.
just wanted to make sure.
Who?
Kadri, Kadri. Who did he sign with?
He just won the Stanley Cup, and I think he was the Conn Smythe winner, wasn't he? He won Conn Smythe.
Yeah, he might still be out there. I think the Islanders might be sniffing him.
Anyway, couple
apologies.
Random points. Your guy Tony Romo. Believe it or not, I actually watched this, and it was kind of competitive. The American Century. It's that kind of that celebrity tour. But he's a hell of a golfer, and he won in a playoff with these guys. I actually kind of enjoyed it. I mean, that looks like a party and a half, man. If you're gonna go, you want to go to see Tony Romo play golf in Tahoe, which is so unique. It's such a great atmosphere. Or the LIV tour, take your pick. I think I'll go see Tony Romo play first.
He's still a free agent.
All right, so he hasn't signed. Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, so you brought this up before, and I brought it up. Where is this money coming from in the NBA? And now I get it. I mean, the NBA Summer League, they're packing arenas to watch these kids play. This is like the U.S. Treasury Department. The money that the NBA is generating, I get where they're paying. I find it absurd that Steph Curry is going to make $60 million a year. But now I get it, that they got money coming out there.
No question.
God.
And if anybody's going to make $60 million a year, I don't have a problem with Steph Curry being the guy to make it.
Exactly.
I
mean,
understand your point, though.
Yeah, I got it.
But real quick, while we're on the NBA, let's talk about the rumors of the Knicks. Donovan Mitchell. Am I giving up R.J. Barrett? I would prefer not to. If this goes down, hopefully, if you want Julius Randle, please take Julius Randle. We'll give you Julius Randle. We will give you 6 of these. You want 7 first-round draft picks in my 11? You want 8? Okay, I'll give you 8. Okay?
Yeah, you're right.
Listen.
Well, it sounds like this Mitchell deal is going to go down, but you're right. I think, and you've been on this guy's bandwagon. I wasn't so sure in the beginning, but R.J. Barrett's turning into a major league NBA player for sure.
And listen, if it's going to take R.J. Barrett, then it's going to have to take R.J. Barrett.
Yep. You're right. Here was an interesting stat, Steve. This guy, Robbie Grossman, he's on the Tigers now, but he had the most games without an error, consecutive errorless streak, broken last week on what looked like a relatively routine fly ball. But I wouldn't have pulled Robbie Grossman out of who's got the longest errorless streak in Major League Baseball history. But that's pretty noteworthy to me, and that's a pretty good ball player.
Yeah.
I think it was 440 consecutive games.
Hey, Rob, can you look that up? We got to get the answer on that. Who held the record? Infielder? Outfielder? I would think an outfielder.
It would probably have to be an outfielder. You're right. You just brought something up about, if it's going to take 7 number 1 picks to get Donovan Mitchell. And we talked about Kevin Durant, right? He wants a trade. The fact that the Timberwolves gave 5 number 1 picks to get Rudy Gobert, what's to stop something like the Sacramento Kings? I would love to see Kevin Durant just, you want to be traded? Okay, go to Sacramento or go to Orlando or some place where you're not guaranteed to be in the NBA Finals. That would teach him, because I brought this up. A contract doesn't mean anything in the National Basketball Association anymore.
That's true.
Casey Kochman.
Casey Kochman. That's another name out of the blue that had that.
How many games did he have?
274.
Wow. So put Grossman in perspective, Steve.
So you're telling me Casey Kochman didn't have 1 ball hit to him in 274 games?
Hold on.
Yeah, right. Can't make an error if you don't get the ball.
That's my point.
That's good.
Please don't hit it to me.
Hold on.
Please don't hit it to me. Please don't hit it to me.
Exactly. Like from Parenthood, the kid. You know
how many baseball teams I've been on, right? Guaranteed, of the 9 out here, 3 or 4. Please don't hit it to me.
Right.
Please don't hit it to me. And then I'm at shortstop saying, please don't hit it to them. Please don't hit it to them.
Right. I know.
Hold on. That's wrong. Hold on. I'm checking.
All right. We'll get back to that.
Okay.
Steve, is a retirement in the NFL, and I wanted to bring it up because it's very close to our heart. A former St. Joe's standout and Rutgers standout, Jason McCourty, retired. 13 years as a player in this league, and we've talked about the McCourty brothers. We've met the McCourty brothers. They're great guys, and Devin McCourty most likely is going to the Hall of Fame, and his brother had a very good career, big play in the Super Bowl a couple of years ago, and we wish him all the best because he's a class guy.
Well done, Jason McCourty. I mean,
you bet.
Vir Fidelis.
Yeah.
For our St. Joe's alumni. I mean, how cool is that? I mean, really,
I mean, they do so much for like charity work and I mean, these are the kind of guys that we wish we had more of, these character guys that are not only good at their craft, but they're good people. And the McCourties certainly fit that bill for sure.
There's no question.
Yep. And I wanted to certainly mention
Like,
that.
good for him. You know, he seems like he's relatively healthy. No, you know, God forbid again the CTE, any football player. I don't want to be Debbie Downer thinking about that. But my point is, Jason McCourty is articulate. He's an absolute gentleman on and off the field, an outstanding career and role model in the community. Like you say, they give back. So look, I hope Jason and Devin, and of course any football player, is not afflicted by the long-term car accidents.
And Jason McCourty was a sixth round pick. His brother Devin was a first round pick, and they played together, won a Super Bowl together. So the story is great. All right, Rob.
Nick Markakis.
Right field Orioles. How many games does it say?
400.
All right. Makes sense. Markakis had a good reputation out there.
Yep. And this point I wanted to make, it's kind of, it's sports related in a way. It's this whole Brittany Griner thing.
Right.
And Bill Richardson, you know, he's the former governor, and this guy is, if she's going to get out, this is the guy that's going to get her out. And you know, this guy is a master negotiator at everything, and I don't know how they're going to pull it off. You know,
they're pulling it off.
Yes,
so Bill Richardson, for the audience, former governor of New Mexico. Bill Richardson, probably, I think, was in the Clinton administration. This, that, and the other thing. But to your point, Bill Richardson's been doing this now for probably 10 years or so.
Yep.
He is the negotiator on behalf of the United States.
Yes, he is.
To get, you know, our people back from whatever country. And he just got a Marine back, I think, from Russia 2-3 months ago. This, that, and the other thing. The holdup here is there's going to be a prisoner swap at some, like, hopefully sooner rather than later, right? Brittany Griner, I mean, come on. I mean, she's a political prisoner for lack of.
I agree with that, and I mean, you know,
but Russia's holding out hope for the angel of death, who this arms dealer who, 10 years he's been in prison. I don't see that happening. That's why I think the negotiations are taking a little bit longer. You know, we'll give you something, but hopefully Brittany Griner is back. She's been doing that.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't. It's sports related, obviously, in a way, but you know, if there are other people from the United States that have been there, well, there's got to be a pecking order. But Richardson, like I said, if there's a Marine still over there in jail, you know, he's got to go first. It's you know, but
anyway. But Bill Richardson being on the case is a good thing.
Yep. So anyway, here's our random points. I wanted you brought his name up before because he's a loyal listener of ours. Your friend Jeremy, who's absolutely a great guy, very knowledgeable in sports, and he was at your daughter's party yesterday, and we had a great time. And we appreciate his loyalty to the show. And
yes, we do.
Jeremy, thank you very much.
Thank you, Jeremy. Jeremy's a dear friend of mine.
Yep. So, Steve, let's move to our notable passings, and unfortunately, the list is pretty extensive. Couple of guys from Jimmy Williams, former San Francisco 49er, return specialist, 43 years old. You know,
too young.
Good ball player. Really was more of a punt and kick return specialist, but he was a good football player, and I don't know if he won a Super Bowl with them. Or not, but I think he was a pretty relevant guy. But there was also another guy, Richard Anderson.
I remember Richard Anderson like it was yesterday.
Yeah, and here's the interesting fact about him. Him and Sylvester Morris were both #1 draft picks out of Jackson State, right? Where Dion coaches now.
Walter Payton's alma mater. That's the first thing I always think of.
Absolutely. To my point, you're absolutely correct in bringing that up because it's the last time Jackson State players were picked number 1 was Walter Payton and Robert Brazile.
Right.
Both Hall of Famers, I believe.
Right. Robert Brazile, beast linebacker for the Houston Oilers.
Yeah. I think he's a Hall of Famer, too.
No, he is a Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
Like about 10 years ago, well, less than that he got it.
Yeah. So Anderson, I mean, he didn't pan out in the NFL. I mean, he was a number 1 pick, but
yeah, if I'm not mistaken, he might have been Carolina's first number 1 pick, I think.
I don't know if he was the first, but he actually had a kind
like
of a
96 or something.
Yeah, he had a kind of more of a better career in the Canadian Football League than he did.
Right.
So, you know.
Right. But yeah, he passed away too young, no question.
Yeah. And how about this tragedy that Oregon tight end Spencer Webb, 22, dies in a cliff, I mean, he was a good football player, actually, and he was coming back for his fifth year and tragedy, 22. Oh.
Right. If I was with him at the time, I really would have tried to talk him out of, are you out of your mind? Are you out of your mind? Why, you want to come up and do it? No. So, folks, I want to reassure the audience. I'm not dying by getting eaten by a shark. I'm not dying by getting eaten by an alligator. I'm not dying jumping off a cliff, not doing it.
Especially when you got such a promising future in the league. And
listen, the
tragic.
Without having to be there, they're down there doing, don't tell me they're not having a couple tequila poppers or something, enjoying it before football starts up again.
Yeah.
Right. And then, we all have friends that have this daredevil thing on them or adrenaline junkies or something like that. Yeah. Right. So we all have friends that, they'll walk up there and he'll do it and he'll cliff dive 99 out of 100 times. Like, perfect.
I know.
But my God, no chance.
Well,
I hate stories like that.
I do too. And I remember it brought back a memory of, I try to say, who does this? You're right. The daredevil mentality. Like, if you're a world-class athlete, riding a motorcycle is the wrong thing to do. And it ruined Jay Williams' career, right? A very promising career. And if you're an athlete, there are some things you just shouldn't do, I guess. I'm not a proponent of motorcycles in general, because I mean, we've known people that have lost their lives, but when you're an athlete and diving off cliffs and riding motorcycles at high speeds, it's just the wrong thing.
And again, so another thing I thought when I heard the story, flashed right back to was Wide World of Sports. The mid-'70s when there's absolutely nothing on TV, right? And, Jim McKay, let's go live to Chris Schenkel in Cabo San Lucas, and then you're watching these Mexicans, in these, banana hammock bathing suits climbing up, boop, boop, boop. And then, tripled, 5 flips and I'm like, holy Christ.
I know.
Not in a million years.
I know. But that's a tragic story, Spencer Webb, and 22 years old, way too young, but Yeah, a couple other guys. Bob Parsons. Remember who Bob Parsons was?
Most certainly do.
I think Bob Parsons was part of our Sunoco book, if I'm not mistaken.
He might have been pre or post.
He came in 72. So
Chicago Bears, Bob Parsons.
Punter.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. He was 72 years old. Yes, he was. He played, but his first year was 72. But I remember Bob Parsons had a long career as a punter in the NFL.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. But here's one and I'm going to let you relate your personal story of the passing of Gary Moeller, former Michigan head football coach, and had a very good run at Michigan. And why don't you tell our audience your hands-on experience with Gary Moeller?
Yeah,
he was 82, by the way.
Right. So I was fortunate to be recruited by the University of Michigan. Okay, so it's just an honor to even be on their radar. And we're talking when Bo Schembechler was the head coach, but his two right-hand men were Gary Moeller and Lloyd Carr, and
Yep.
both succeeded, Bo as head coaches. But I was at St. Joe's, St. Joseph Regional, my alma mater. It was the fall of '82. It was right after the season ended, late November, and I got a call from the guidance office to come down to the guidance counselor's office. Okay, 10:30 in the morning, I come down, and there was a small conference table, and at the conference table were two imposing gentlemen, and they had light blue blazers on, but with the Mason blue Big M on the lapel here, right?
Yeah.
And it was Gary Moeller and Lloyd Carr. And so I sat down with both of them. I said, "Can I call my father?" Whatever. I was so intimidated because it was Michigan. And we sat together for half an hour, and then they had to go. This, that, and the other thing. But my point is, I had the honor of meeting Gary Moeller and Lloyd Carr in person. And, obviously, they took a 6'4", 220 quarterback over this 6', 190 quarterback. But when I heard the passing of Gary Moeller, I was saddened by it.
Great story.
And Gary Moeller really did have a very good career. He had one moment. He got hammered at a Detroit area bar one time or something.
He did have a black mark on.
But I tell you, no. But again, with people get in society, second, third, fourth chances. Gary Moeller, it's a spit in a bucket, and his son too was Andy Moeller, and Andy Moeller was the captain linebacker with Harbaugh. They are class of '82. I'm '83 or '81.
I didn't know Andy Moeller was his son.
And Andy Moeller was Gary Moeller's son, and yeah. So for our diehard college football fans back then, Andy Moeller, captain of Michigan. So R.I.P. Gary Moeller. He had a really
good story. Good
football man.
Good reference. Yeah, he was 82 years old. So.
Right.
And Steve, one from the world of Hollywood, and you got to say, I don't know who that is, but this is one of those guys you say when you see the guy's face, you'll know exactly who he is. L.Q. Jones, and I remember him most, and he was the uncle or something of the guy who put his feet up on the desk or in Casino, the movie, and he says, "Yeah, he's useless as tits on a bull," You'll recognize the face if you don't know the name.
He's been in 1,000 movies.
Exactly, 1,000. He was 94 years old.
Oh God, I thought he was 94 in Casino.
I know. So that's our Hollywood passing this week. So,
right.
But Steve,
well, Mr. Rothstein, I really appreciate it if you give you take him back, and I can't do it. He's incompetent. I can't do it.
It's a great role he played.
He's either stupid or he's in on it. Either way, I can't do it.
Either way, he's out. But anyway, Steve, lots to talk about, and gonna settle in and watch some Open Championship today as moving day.
The Open Championship.
Shake up the leaderboard, and I'm going to stick with my pick, Rory, this time. I don't know if you beg to differ. Who do you like? Scheffler's on fire right now, by the way.
I'll go with Scotty. Scotty.
Yeah.
Hey, Rob, Rob, did you get the picture I saw per chance?
We put that up before, I think, didn't we? The kindergarten picture?
Which one?
I said, did you check your text? I want to see if you got the picture I sent to you. If you could splash it up, I have to say a shout out real quick.
Yeah. Okay. Well, anyway, we're going to watch the British Open today because it's just a tournament that's is great, and looking to who's going to hoist the claret jug tomorrow. We'll know soon enough.
No question.
And Mike Garvey always brings up to me like we love the British Open because we get to watch it at 5 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, absolutely, no doubt. But as Rob hopefully can find the picture, Jim referenced at a party last night for my daughter Emily, her graduation from Indian Hills High School, and it was first time I think pre-pandemic that I got to spend time with my brothers. Unfortunately, my brother Mark couldn't make it. He's lives down in Longboat Key, Florida, and our loving sister Mary Ellen is in Kentucky. So, but outside that, I got to get together with the Monahan boys, and
it's been years that
yeah.
I've seen a couple of my brothers. You and I, we do the show, so we obviously seen each other. But yeah, it was a great event for us to finally, after literally 3 years, I haven't seen some of my brothers.
So I just wanted to honor Emily and from a shout out. She's worked so hard to be in a position for where she's at. She's going to Boston University and School of Public Communication, and I couldn't be more proud of her.
Good.
And it was emotional last night as a father. So if you don't have that picture, we can show it up, throw it up next week. But I just wanted to say I love you, Emily, and congratulations.
And just from this side of the family too, my grandson is 6 weeks old now, and he's turning into a strapping young man. So
is he?
Hudson Joseph Miller.
He looks like Franco Colombo by now.
Anyway, so enjoy the British Open, Steve, and thanks for joining us. And listen,
there she is.
There she is.
There's my girl.
That's nice.
Thank you, Rob.
Very nice.
Emily Grace Monahan.
Yep. So we'll see you guys next week. Thanks for joining us, and send us an email at sportswithmanoandmano@gmail.com. And again, shout out to Jeremy. Thanks for being a loyal listener, and Mike Garvey down in Florida. Enjoy the Open. See you next week, Steve.
All right. Bye, everybody.
All right.